Hey there, y'all. CPR, or Classic Petra Resurrection, took the stage at the Cailloux Theater in Kerrville, Texas this past Saturday, July 20th, 2024, and they rocked. I was there. Stay with me and I'll give you my full review coming right up. Hey there, y'all. Tim Risto here, host of the Creative Christians podcast, joining you once again for another Tim Talks Christian Rock. And today, I've got a concert review for you. Classic Christian rockers CPR, Classic Petra Resurrection, held what has been reported to be their last concert of calendar year 2024 in Kerrville, Texas this past Saturday. And thanks to the encouragement of my lovely, lovely wife, I was able to get a ticket and attend. And what a show it was. As I mentioned earlier, I got this t-shirt there at the show. I was also able to be a part of the meet and greet with the band after the show. More on all that in just a moment. Classic Petra Resurrection's lineup consists of vocalist Greg X Volz, John Lowry on keyboards, Louis Weaver on drums, all members from the Classic Petra era, and also current Petra band member Greg Bailey on bass, and relative newcomer Paul Carson on guitars, who's been with the band for a couple of years now, I do believe. If your first question is, where's Bob, meaning Bob Hartman, founder and lead guitarist of the original Petra, then you may be unfamiliar with the fact that there are actually two versions of Petra currently touring. The first is the original Petra with Bob Hartman and vocalist John Schlitt and band. The second version is this one, CPR, Classic Petra Resurrection. To make things a little more confusing, both Lowry and Bailey play with both versions of the band. While the Hartman-Schlitt version of Petra plays songs from across the entire Petra catalog, for the most part, the Volz-led CPR version plays tunes pretty much just from Volz's time with the band, as well as some of his solo material. Got it? Okay, let's keep moving. Throughout this review, I will be sharing some select video clips from the show. Pardon a few heads in the way, a little bit of shaky camera, some focus issues here and there. I was really trying to kind of stay in the moment and just enjoy the show, be in the moment and not focus too much on super good video recording or be that guy that's got the cell phone up throughout the entire concert and blocking people behind me and all that. Nevertheless, I was able to grab some good, strong samples from the show for this review that I think will give you a good feel for what the show was like. First, a quick word about the venue because it really was ideal. Hats off to the guys for booking the Cailloux Theater there in Kerrville. It is such a beautiful theater, comfortable, and just the right size. Large enough to accommodate a CPR-size audience, but small enough to allow for a nice intimate experience with the band. The acoustics in there sounded great. It was pretty full overall, not sold out, but a good-sized crowd. These photos are from shortly after the doors opened, so it wasn't filling up yet, but it did fill up much more than what these photos show. There was a nice mix of all ages there, young, old, and everything in between. I met several people there that I got to chat with both in the theater and while online at the meet and greet. Really nice people. For perspective, I was seated in row B, seat 14 at the Cailloux Theater, right there. So center orchestra section, second row from the stage and first seat on the left or stage right. I was right in front of guitarist Paul Carson the whole time. I had a great up front view. A couple of the guys in that first row right in front of me, clearly big CPR fans. I love it. Stood much of the time, and so I stood much of the time. And frankly, I could have stood the entire show. I was so into it. I just absolutely loved it. But my point of view in the video clips, it may look like it's more a restricted view than it was, but I actually had just a really, really great view, and I just loved being up close. It was such a blast. Okay, so after a 35-minute opening act, more about that a little bit later, and a brief intermission, CPR took the stage at 7:53 p.m. Longtime drummer Louis Weaver had a little fun with the audience right before their intro.
Don't you people have homes?
We are home.
Then they started off strong with their usual opener, Bema Seat. I think it was Clean and Second Wind that were both up next. I may have the order of those reversed, but they were both energetic and really well done. But it was a really good performance of Judas Kiss that had us all on our feet once again. Things mellowed out a little bit more for More Power to You. Volz was in such good voice, and he seemed to be honestly having the time of his life.
Jesus walked his disciples, he gives strength to them. Jesus told them all to tarry in Jerusalem. When they were all in one accord, the power of his Spirit poured. They began to turn the world around. More power to you when you're standing on the word, when you're trusting with your whole heart in the message you have heard. More power to you when we're all in one accord. They that wait upon the Lord, they shall renew their strength. Oh yeah. Shout victory in the Lord, in the power of might. Put on his armor, fight the good fight. Lean on the weakness, he becomes so strong. He gives us the power and the strength to carry on. More power to you.
I like that Volz is rocking a beard once again, or at least a goatee. He looks great. For his age, he just seems to be in really good health and really good spirits. They performed one of his most favorite solo songs, Barrier, from his The River is Rising album. Phenomenal solo album that's as good as anything Petra has ever released. It was so good to hear that played live. I didn't get any video of it, though. I was just too into the performance at that point in time. There was, of course, solos from John Lowry, Paul Carson, and Louis Weaver. The band also played a really nice cover of Aerosmith's Dream On, one of Volz's favorite songs, and also featured on his second solo album, Come Out Fighting. While Volz doesn't aim to hit the really high notes, at least not during this concert, I mean, who can blame him? He's in his 70s. His lower registers these days, compared to back in the 80s, is really solid, and he just sounds incredible.
All these things come back to you.
They powered back up with rockers like Angel of Light, Adonai, and Back to the Rock before closing out the set with It Is Finished. They came back for an encore that featured Praise Ye the Lord, and I think it was Let Everything That Hath Breath. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly, but I think it was that one. Before closing out the whole concert with a nice high-energy performance of Beat the System. As you can tell, I wasn't writing down the set list or have it memorized or anything like that, nor did I try and get a pic of the set list from the soundboard. But it was a similar set list to that of what Classic Petra has done in the past and what CPR has typically done, although some nice variations in it, and they've switched up the order of some things a little bit more than in the past. I mean, the only real mellow track they played was More Power to You. Everything else pretty much rocked. But from what I recall, the set list went something like what you're seeing on screen right now, although I probably have the order off a bit. Maybe forgot a song or maybe switched one song or two. Otherwise, this is pretty darn close. In short, this concert was great. The performances of these classic Petra tunes felt surprisingly fresh to me. And I know this will sound like hyperbole, and Petra purists are going to scoff at me for even saying this, but who cares? This CPR concert was truly the best Petra concert I've seen since the Beat the System tour in 1986. And I've seen Volz and Schlitt fronted Petras over the decades. You know, I've watched Captured in Time and Space countless times. I've watched Back to the Rock countless times. I've watched all the variations of the band in various live YouTube videos over the years as well. I'm sure many of you have too, as well as been to many concerts. But this show truly was an incredible performance by CPR. The band played tight and solid, but they also utilized the freedom to go off script and be spontaneous in the moment whenever they felt they needed it. Volz sounded solid and confident. He really seemed to be having a blast. He had lots of great comments in between songs as well, on ministry moments. He wasn't at all schmaltzy. He joked around, was uplifting and positive, shared a few personal comments, and was just very grounded. John Lowry, despite past health issues, was great on keyboards as usual. His playing looked so effortless and passionate, just a legend. Louis Weaver is 74, and it shows a bit. He shuffles when he walks. He's also had some health issues and other personal struggles in the past. But his drum work was solid, and he was on fire for his solo. He's also clearly having fun. Greg Bailey is the stalwart bass player that is always smiling and consistently dependable. He threw in a few joking comments from time to time in between songs. He's probably the guy you most would want to just hang out with on the weekend. He seems so down to earth, humble, and happy. Paul Carson, the new guitar player, is great. I really like this guy's playing, attitude, and smile. He seems grateful to be there, respectful of the legends he's playing alongside, and also greatly talented himself. He fits in really well. The guys rocked so much harder than I was anticipating. You know, Greg, John, and Louie are getting up there. I think they're all in their 70s. So, you know, it's just reality. We all age. But I came with expectations set accordingly, fully expecting them to probably be standing around a lot more than, you know, jumping around the stage, perhaps not being as energized as I would hope. But they kind of blew those expectations out of the water. Not only can CPR still sing and play, but they've got the energy yet too. They brought the fire. Of course, Bailey and Carson bring a youthful energy to the band, which was really nice. But they never try and upstage their older bandmates. And honestly, the energy and interplay between the band members as a whole was the best I've seen in any Petra concert, period. Everybody interacted with each of their bandmates during the show. I've never seen that level of camaraderie in a Petra concert before, at least not like this. It's clear these guys have a bond, they like each other, and they're having fun on stage. The energy is infectious, and the audience was really into it, oftentimes shouting out song requests or fun comments to the band in between sets. It was really great. Okay, quick word about the meet and greet. A lot of bands these days are offering these meet and greet events where you purchase a ticket to get to meet and hang with the band a bit after the show, get memorabilia autographed, and get a photo with the band. I had to go to this one. This was a bucket list item for me, and it didn't disappoint at all. So I had the opportunity to grab, this t-shirt from the merchandise table after the show, then head over to get in line for the meet and greet. Loved meeting and chatting with the guys. And thanks to my wife for grabbing some of this video of me interacting with them while she was waiting for me in the non-VIP area. It's really nice to have the opportunity to face the guys and tell them directly just how much their music and ministry has meant to me over the years. It's funny, Greg Volz asked me directly, he said, "How old are you?" And I told him I was 57 years old. He pointed back to his daughter, I think Jonna, who was the gatekeeper for the meet and greet event. She was monitoring the line, taking photos with everybody's cell phones of the band, of us with the band, keeping things moving along. I mean, she was really great, handling everything very professionally and with a smile. Anyway, she high-fived me after Greg asked my age. I think she must be about my age, doesn't look it at all. And I think that's what Greg was drawing attention to, the fact that I don't look 57 either. Nice to hear. Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Jonna, too. Paul Carson, the incredible new guitarist for CPR, asked about the classic Petra shirt that I was wearing at the time, saying he had never seen that one before. I said it was from the first Back to the Rock tour from 2010 to 2012 with classic Petra. He nodded and said he'd like one. So I pretended to start to take the shirt off to give it to him. All the guys cracked up. It was just kind of a fun moment. It's nice, again, to be able to interact with these guys that you've seen and watched over the years, and to be able to have a little rapport with them was a lot of fun. You're limited to having 2 items autographed, so I really had to decide which 2 they would be. I brought a box of about 10 items to think about, LPs, CDs, DVDs, etc., that I had to decide which 2 I'd go with when I got in line or before I got in line. And after going back and forth for a while, I finally decided to go with having them autograph my lanyard that I got there at the show, but then also an original copy of Beat the System on vinyl. Louis saw me coming up with the Beat the System vinyl and turned to Greg and said, "Why so many Beat the System albums tonight?" So clearly I wasn't the first one to bring it. He looked back at me and I told him that Beat the System had been my first Petra concert, so it just seemed the appropriate one to bring and get autographed. Plus, the album art on that, quite frankly, just lends itself to autographs, and it looks great. Finally, getting a chance to get a photo with the band was awesome. It will hang on my wall for a long time to come. If you've never done a meet and greet before, definitely take advantage of it in the future, if at all possible. It was so much fun and a great capper to an already great show. According to Volz, CPR is hoping to record, possibly next year, a new album of re-recorded classic Petra tunes and original material as well. They're just looking for financing at this point. I'm on board. How about crowdfunding that baby and let's get this thing in gear? I know Volz is a prolific writer. Lowry is a great producer and engineer. Not positive, but I think Paul Carson writes music as well. I'd be very curious to hear what an album of all original CPR material would be like. Bring it, guys. So we'll see what happens with that, and also a possible tour next year as well. There were at least 3 to 4 camera crew there filming the concert on Saturday. I recall at least 2, maybe 3 cameras on tripods around the theater, plus 1 mobile rig on a small stabilizer. Not sure if they were with CPR, probably, most likely, or perhaps the Cailloux Theater. Not sure if this was for a professional recording. I mean, it looked like pretty decent DSLR level gear, or just something else. But if this does get released in any professional video release by the band, I'd be the first to pick it up because this show really rocked. I don't want to forget to mention, at least briefly, about the opening band for the show, TJ Smith and the Stone Bruised Band. I'd never heard of them before, but basically they're a guitarist, vocalist, and vocalist duo with a pop rock, praise and worship, maybe some subtle Southern gospel vibes, and some Beatles musical influences in the mix. My impression was that they were similar to the old CCM band David and the Giants. They were relatively mellow, but with a few rock tunes in there. A good opening act to kind of ease into the main show with CPR. So, final word, CPR gave a great performance. My favorite Petra performance since the Beat the System tour back in 1986. Seriously. This group of 5 really talented guys sounds great, are tight, have great camaraderie on stage, keep the energy level high, and simply rocked. It was a nice set list of old classic Petra tunes, and great to have Volz's Barrier and Aerosmith's Dream On as part of the show. The uplifting comments of spiritual and biblical wisdom from Volz were nicely rationed throughout the show. It was a good balance and never schmaltzy. Volz is in great voice. Weaver and Lowry are always solid, as is Greg Bailey, who is always smiling as well. And Carson is one to watch for sure. What else can I say? Obviously, I loved it. It sounds like CPR is done for the rest of calendar year 2024, but let's hope they do a lot more touring in 2025. If so, do yourself a favor. Go and support this band. Go see them perform, buy their merchandise, and go attend a meet and greet. You'll be so glad that you did. That's all I got for this review. Did you happen to catch classic Petra Resurrection in Kerrville on Saturday? If so, what'd you think? Leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great one, you all. Go out and listen to some great Christian rock. And above all else, stay in God's Word. Blessings, y'all.